Peace and welcome into this special edition of Men of a Certain Age, The Soup. This is a Father's Day edition of Men of a Certain Age. As always, I'm Les. I got my man Panero back with us. And then we got my man Peace, fellas. Happy Father's Day to the fathers and the fathers' fathers. Here's to you.
Dilly 716 style. You know what I'm saying? Cheers.
Peace.
Cheers to the pops out there.
You know what I'm saying?
Happy Father's Day.
What's the deal with you, man? How was your week, man?
My week was good. Last week I was absent. You know what I'm saying? I was at a graduation in Virginia. Shout out to my nephew, Trevion Maverick Branch, for graduating from high school, my guy.
That's
I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? It was hotter than fish grease in Virginia.
Word.
Man, it was like 90 degrees. I get off the airplane in the town, it's 60. So half of my head was frozen and the other half was thawed out. My ears was popping. I'm like, yo, man, take me back to the VA, man.
You say get off the bird, you gotta look for the scarf to wrap around your neck.
Come on, man. I was looking for a Scully and shit.
That's peace, man. I'm glad you and the fam, you and the Wiz made it back safe. You know what I mean? Peace, UH, man. How you, man?
I'm great, man. I never complain because it doesn't pay and doesn't do anybody any good. Just keep it moving, find a solution. I'm good, man. Good week at work this week. I think I finally got Clayton County down the way I need to. Actually doing, it's a little bit different. It's funny dealing with black counties. So quick sidebar, we gotta do better, y'all. The black counties, we gotta do better. I go to Gwinnett, it's a seamless process, it's in and out. I go to Cobb, it's a seamless process, it's in and out. Fulton, ooh, whatever. I'm gonna cut y'all past because y'all in attack. But Clayco and DeKalb, we gotta do better with our process, y'all, because that's us. You know what I'm saying? We just gotta do better. That's all. But it's all good, man. Good week this week.
Yo, Fro, one thing, man. Don talks so fast, he be having like incredible slogans. He just said, keep it moving, find a solution.
Right.
Yeah, come on, man. Let me write that real quick.
You got it. You got it. You know?
Let me hold that right there. Let me hold that.
You got it, man. No worries.
You know what I mean?
That's that reloader right there. You know what I'm saying? Always be closing, right?
Always. ABCs, baby. ABCs.
That's what it is, man. And again, man, thanks again for tuning in to the Soup, man.
Word. Please
share, subscribe, and comment down low. We have an awesome show here today. We got Agent Orange in this particular show today, man. Donald Trump had made a special guest appearance. He went to Detroit, man, and tried to pull over some bullshit, and we not going for it. So we're gonna get into that. You know what I mean? And we also have, once again, Gary Gnu makes an appearance in the Soup. It seems like, man, he is a major ingredient for some reason, man, but he's out of control, man. So we're gonna talk about Stephen A.
He's a carrot.
Man, we're going to talk about Stephen A. and some of the nonsense that he's been spewing. We're also going to talk about Cornel West. We are culture-centric, and we're paying attention to the election on what's going on. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Cornel has going on. And also, as what we're talking about the government, we have to talk about Mr. Clarence Thomas from the Supreme Court. He's one of the Supremes. You know what I'm saying? Shady Acres. And then also, man, shouts out to Sean Carter for making his first appearance in the Soup, man. So Jay-Z makes an appearance in the Soup. So we got some stuff to talk about with Jehovah or however the monikers. We're going to get into all the AKAs with Jay-Z on this episode. And last but not least, man, we're going to touch on, again, something that's going to force us to look at the elections and consequences and repercussions with using your vote and not using your vote. There was a ruling that went down concerning the Tulsa massacre and what happened. And we're going to talk about that on this particular episode. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start it off here this afternoon. And again, this is a Father's Day special. That's the reason why I got my lid on. It ain't really my style, but it was Father's Day. You know what I mean? So I had to bring out the straw hat one time down. You know what I mean, Lord? But what I wanted to do is this, man, I wanted to jump in first and foremost is with Trump, man. He made a special guest appearance in Detroit and went to a church that's in the community, a so-called black church.
So Donald Trump just gave a speech to a church in Detroit about his vision for Black Americans. And tell me what you noticed about the audience.
So you see the audience, nothing but Europeans up in the joint, right? So
Right.
straight up and down, nothing but mega up in the joint. So now we fast forward to the pastor whose church they're at. So let's see what he
were
had,
pushed aside.
had to say.
And there are two things that are happening with crime and employment. You're an entrepreneur. Is disenfranchised, we're marginalized, we're pushed aside. And there are two things that are happening with crime and employment. You're an entrepreneur. How do you see funding entrepreneurs, specifically keeping the Black dollar in the Black community? Let me explain. If I want to eat, I have to give my money to the Albanians at Coney Island. If you want to get gas, you need to go to the Chaldeans. If you want to have your hair look like mine, you got to go to Asians. And I thank God for Asians. My wife is right there. She's Asian. Our children are Blasian. So I give it up to my Asian brothers and sisters. But we don't keep the Black dollar in the Black community. You're an entrepreneur. What does it look like for Black entrepreneurs to be able to get the resources they need so we don't look for a handout, but a hand up?
And we talk about this. You have a lot of dollars in the Black community, and they don't keep it. I think one of the biggest problems that I see is the crime. They have to stop the crime. If they stop the crime, you're going to see more and more stores sprout. And we're losing them in other communities too, where there's crime. They just empty stores. You see them all over. They see big stores they moved in 10 years ago. They spent millions of dollars to build it, and now they're leaving. And these are not necessarily Black communities. In many cases, they're not at all. But where there's crime, there's empty stores, and you don't keep the money. So I think the biggest thing we can do is stop the crime. We're going to stop the crime. We have to let people feel free and be able to walk outside and not even think about being mugged or hit or shot or anything. And one of the examples, I see the love in this church. It's incredible what you've done, an incredible job. I would like to ask if you could final out with a prayer. Is that okay? I don't want to get you by surprise here because this.
Could you final out
with a prayer?
With the prayer.
This was not, but I've heard so much about you and so many great things, and it's such an honor to be here. It's such an incredible honor. And
you see that chump over there to the left of us, right? You know what I mean? With the yellow tie on, the dude with the two first names, right? You see his ass down there.
Yeah.
With so many of my friends that are political leaders that are really going places, and he is on the list, by the way, and I don't know if he's going to make it, but he's on a list of a few people, right? Not too many people. Would you like to be VP? Huh? Tell you one thing, it'd be a good one too. But I'd love to ask you to finish off with a prayer. Does that make sense?
I would love to pray.
Thank you very much.
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the.
So you had this clown, the pastor, pandering, basically laying on his back, talking crazy. Let me get to this next clip of this guy, the pastor.
President Obama never came to the hood, so to speak, right? President Joe Biden, he went to the big NAACP dinner, but he never came to the hood. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Look at my man up here with the DMC hat on.
My honor.
You know what I'm saying?
President Obama never came to the hood, so to speak, right? President Joe Biden, he went to the big NAACP dinner, but he never came to the hood. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you know how the media is going to play this, right?
Oh.
They're going to play this as Trump went to a Black church and the Black community turned out for him. He's gaining so much traction within the Black community. And when my man panned the church, saying it was nothing but Europeans in there. I don't know how or what type of congregation that reverend has in that particular church, but it didn't look like, besides DMC that was sitting to his right, it didn't look like it was too many of us up in there.
Obviously, that's the only time those white people are going to be in that church, in that part of town. We know Detroit is 70% Black, so that's not even a fair representation of the city, of the demographics there. Clearly, it's something that wasn't supported by the community as a whole. The way it's going to be spun is that religious leaders, a Baptist leader or black church leaders in Detroit supporting Trump. That's the way it's going to read. Obviously, he continues to associate us with crime,
Right.
and poverty and all the things that are the ills of American society, as opposed, and he never talks solutions. He just talks about what it is. Even if you want to, take that vantage point. But clearly another dog and pony show by this guy. And like I said, it doesn't represent the black people of Detroit, because it's not even probably 2% black people in there, except for the church staff, which obviously had to be there one way or another. It means nothing to me. It's just another attempt to whittle away at the Joe Biden's and the Democratic Party's big, humongous lead, and traditionally and in reality, with black people.
Of course, he's got his show pony with him, Byron Donald. You know what I'm saying, Lord?
Yeah, no doubt. So it's right now, crime is down under Biden. Employment is actually up under Biden. So it's like, it's lies, and it's putting on a facade, and it's using the black church. Don said, it's like it's a stereotype, and it's horrible. You know what I'm saying? And we always say on this show that black people aren't a monolith. We're all different. You know what I mean? But when it comes to what Donald uses, crime, and the stores are closing because you don't want to get stabbed or shot, or come on, man. It's almost like a skit from SNL. Are you serious, man? It's just horrible that you can put this in front of the majority of people, and because he's in Detroit, and because Detroit is predominantly black, the masses will believe this and follow. And the media is a culprit also in this. So it's a horrible situation. But again, do your own research. Like Men of a Certain Age say, do your research and make sure you get the truth, man. Just don't listen to what's on television, man, because a bunch of people will jump off their square for that dollar.
Man, listen, the deacons got to have a meeting, a sit down with the pastor, man. You know what I mean? What are we doing? If I'm part of the congregation and I see this going on, man, I got to ask some questions. I got to find out what's really going on. Or can I get in on the deal you cut?
Man, can I get my beak wet too?
Right.
Now, all I'm asking is that you let me wet my beak a little bit.
You know what I'm saying?
There it is. There it is.
What's going on around here, B?
Man,
The church need to have a new roof real soon.
come on, man.
I don't want to hear nothing about no building fund.
And 2 new vans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Well, all that rolling on your back you did over there, man. And then you took out your hammer, then you sprayed straight at Barack out of nowhere.
Barack ain't from the slums of Chicago. Like, he didn't represent Chicago. You know what I mean? Come on, man.
It's crazy. It's like he added extra favor with Trump by saying that. It's like he asked Trump about the black community and keeping the black dollar in the community. That man ran from that question, or didn't understand that question so bad.
He started talking about
the crime. He associates black people with crime, dude.
And here he is up here with 34 felonies. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And that's what we want. I want to bring to the light also, and also shine a light on this episode, man, is again, like we were talking about the media and how they're going to spin this about Trump gaining favor. Look at him. Oh, he was in Detroit, in the inner city with the blacks. They're really, look at the rappers. They're going to all clump us in on that. And when you look at, like I said earlier, you look at that whole audience, it wasn't nothing in there but Europeans.
MAGA.
Maggots.
Also earlier in this week, man, they had your man Hunter Biden in court in Delaware. They got him up on gun charges. You know what I mean? If you really was paying attention or really know about this Hunter Biden, this dude was truly a wild cowboy, man. Not only did he like his bowl of Captain Crunch every now and again, man. This man was entangled with his sister-in-law, his brother's wife. I'm like,
his dad brothers.
I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on with these cats, man? I'm like, yo, that's that bullshit, yo.
Mhm.
When I heard
Okay,
that
hell
shit,
of a
I'm
drug.
like, come on, man. This is what you're doing. Not only do you like the Captain Crunch, but you bringing the Captain Crunch to your sister-in-law and blowing her back out.
Right.
Well, that's he all types of foul, man. And ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it, man. When you saw him get those charges, what was your first thoughts, UH?
I thought it was wild because I think the charge he got was basically being high while being a drug addict while having a gun. Like I said, if they want you, they can find something somewhere to get you. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. I know he was a wild cowboy out there on the crunchies and with the chicks and the videos, and that's why they want the laptop. They just really want to embarrass them with the laptop. They really don't want to, you know what I'm saying? They really because ain't nothing on there. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody knows somebody in their family that's in their family. But you know what, man, you wild, yo. So I'm gonna keep you over there. I'm gonna put you in a position so you ain't, you know what I'm saying, begging for nothing. I ain't gonna leave you out there, but I'm gonna let you do you. You know what I'm saying? And I obviously, like I said, y'all know I'm not a Joe Biden fan, but I think he did the right thing and by giving Hunter a space and let the chips fall where they may. Now the thing about it is that we have to again look at the way the media is gonna spin it. They crucified, it's a kangaroo court in a third world country, and they never would have done this they would only do this in Russia or a banana republic or something like that all week when it was about Trump, right? Now Biden comes along and gets convicted, and now they're like, oh, he's a sacrificial lamb and so on and so forth. They just did this, that, and the other. Come on, man. You can't be right, you can't be wrong with idiots. Sometimes it's better just to realize what it is. Like we said before, they want you, they can get you. Any one of us for something. We might have signed something the wrong way, didn't sign something. We could have done anything. You know what I mean? And believe me, if the feds want you, they're gonna find a reason and they're gonna get you. So that really doesn't hold too much weight with me.
So let me ask you, Lord, you think it was, or was it just political for Biden to say, you know what, I'm not gonna pardon him?
I think as a father, even as a president, he's not going to pardon him because he wants him to learn from his mistakes. You know what I'm saying? That's what a real father would do. That's what a real president would do. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to pardon him. And I honor him for that. Don was saying, I'm not a big Biden guy either. But I think it's worthy for us to understand and to know that he's not going to do what Trump is planning to do by pardoning everyone who was a part of January 6th.
Right.
Or using the judicial system as a weapon. Like, where is the outrage from liberals? Hey, this is a witch hunt, and this is a banana republic. And when it comes to the liberals, and something happens in that particular area, is okay. He did it. It is what it is. If you have a gun and you smoking crunch, you better watch your ass because they coming after you too. It's just that simple. He did it, so it is what it is. But when it comes to Trump and all the counts that he has, it's a witch hunt and he just signed some papers the wrong way, or the documents were in the bathroom, but they were in the cabinet neatly next to the comment, so he shouldn't be prosecuted. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bunch of bullshit. It's a show, man. It's a big show. And this is the country we're living in right now. This is some crazy shit, B.
I'm glad that you went there with that, because that's exactly where we going next. And the next thing we're going to do is this, man. So we're going to get into how the media curves what they want their narrative to be. So let's check this out real quick.
This is a new era in America, and I think it goes against the ilk of who we are as Americans and our faith in the criminal justice system. In the end, this jury of ordinary people from Delaware were not intimidated by that panel. And they recognized that this was a clear-cut case and that clearly no one's above the law.
This is a very political exercise, and you have to say that it accomplished what it set out to accomplish. But I would say this about Judge Noreka. I think she ran a very fair courtroom. She ran a very fair trial.
I guess to shop at Banana Republic from now on? Because that's what it feels like. Yeah, a Banana Republic.
For years, the Bidens have been able to escape any legal accountability for their sleazy, corrupt conduct. But today, their luck ran out. At least Hunter's did.
Power is all they love. And they're willing to do anything to cling to it. They're willing to destroy the rule of law. The Republic has been wounded by weak lawyers and talentless political bloodhounds. It gave me a little boost of confidence in the American legal system, although they still have a lot of work
Incredible.
to do to win me back.
I believe that there was a conscious collusion of allies that came together. It's pretty obvious, with a private strategy to eliminate a common shared adversary. Hunter's going to jail, so Joe doesn't have to. And when he comes out, he'll be rewarded for his loyalty, like a made man in a Biden crime family. This is the distraction from the influence peddling and the kickbacks.
Fox News.
I think I haven't watched Fox in a very long time, obviously, because I don't like being lied to. And as D always points out, that it is an entertainment station. It's not a news station. You know what I mean? They don't have to correct their errors. They've been sued by Dominion Voting Company for continuing to push the lies about the voting machines. So they've been proven in course of law that they're dishonorable. Rupert Murdoch, he's not even American.
Right.
He's not even American, and he's got such a hold on American uneducated viewers.
Yes.
Fun fact, Fox also owns Tubi. We need to be conscious of what we consume and how we consume it, and the layers of consumption and how they come about us. But as far as that, the way Fox flipped and bounced it and everything, I'm not surprised, man, because they're going to find any way to stick with their narrative. Literally, I think unless Trump gets on TV and says something, I can't even say that. I think unless he presses the nuclear button, I think that's probably the only way they won't be able to defend him. You know what I mean? Because they're defending him now after January 6th, which was atrocious. They defended his entire administration, and they're still defending him now. So I don't see where there's a point where they're actually going to let this guy, where they're going to talk bad about this guy, but they're always going to have something to say about the Democrats. So it is what it is, man.
Is it basically porn? It's porn because it's like it's X-rated.
Fantasy politics. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Sit up there and watch that clip and watch when Trump got his charges. For them to act like it was everything but right. And then 10, 12 days later, it's the total opposite. That's super dangerous, man. If you watching that 24 hours, 7 days, at least 4 to 5 days, not even that, a couple hours a week of Fox. If that's where you consuming,
I think what they deserve, a lot of those anchors deserve like Oscars or deserve an award for acting. Like, how could you have no conscience whatsoever? You can just turn into something else. You can say, you know what? I'd like the Mavericks to win. Blah. They lose. I wanted Boston to win the whole time. It's just like, how could you not even, your whole face is, you just lying right to the public. You know what I'm saying? And the people that are watching, there's a lot of people that think Fox is actually news. Even if you tell them it's entertainment, they still go with it because it said Fox News and must be news. You know what I'm saying? It's not real. You know, it's not real. But people follow it. And these actors that are portraying anchors or that are portraying, they're not even journalists. It's just fake, man. It might as well be SNL, man. It might as well be SNL. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's political fantasy porn, just like you said, Fro. That's all it is.
It's just, like I said, when the whole thing went down with Trump the first time and they gave him his charges, that was like the first I said, I wanted to see what they had cooking.
Oh, yeah.
When we saw what they had cooking. And then the turn when Hunter get his charges and see what they cooking up. And that's what you said, P. Do you have fucking more? How do you rest easy?
How you sleep at night?
With some of the crazy stuff that they say, man.
And a lot of it, they don't believe. Like, there was a point where they were talking about the election and there were tweets or text messages between Fox anchors saying, this is some bullshit.
Right.
You know what I mean? They know it's bullshit, but they got to get their bread.
But the stocks is up. So
Right.
we got to keep the stock value. As we always say, you got to do your own math.
You better.
You can't just consume one thing and just think this is the right way or that's how it is. You need to have some type of variation of what you're consuming and get to know these people that's running for these positions, like that damn fool Byron Arnold. What's his name?
Byron Donald.
Two first names.
Exactly. Watch him,
First name, last name.
because he is definitely gonna be on the scene heavy throughout the election. Just like Trump asked, he insult Milwaukee, and we know why he screamed on Milwaukee, because Milwaukee is an urban city.
Right.
And that's where the GOP convention is going to be at. It's going to be in Milwaukee. So this is where the convention is going to be at. He like, oh, they stuck us in Milwaukee. Crime. That's the first thing. That's the first thing he's going to scream, man.
Dog whistles.
From the get-go. But as we move on from Agent Orange, man, we're going to step to another habitual line stepper, Mr. Stephen Screaming A. Smith. Stephen A, man, it seems he's really been feeling himself lately. He can say anything and everything, and if someone responds to what he says, he takes offense to it. And it's, yo, why didn't you call me? You didn't have to air me out. You could have called me. It's, man, you got up on your platform and spewed your bullshit, so I'm going to use my platform to check you. So lately, like I said, he's been feeling himself. So he was on with Romy Rome, P. He was in with Jim Rome. And
call me Chris again.
Exactly. Chris. Yeah. So he's on with Jim Rome. And so Jim is going through the paces and asking him some questions and different things. So our people's Claire and Hunter got the clip and they commented on it. So what I want to do is I want to go play this clip of Screaming A with Jim Rome. And then I also want to show y'all Stephen A talking about Will Smith. And then we're going to come back and do what we does. All right?
No doubt.
Would you consider running for office?
I will never run for office unless it was the presidency of the United States, and I'd have to be thoroughly.
What? 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 I'm going to go ahead.
Convinced that I'd have a legitimate shot to win. And I'm certainly not saying that, Jim Rome, as if I'm qualified. I don't know enough to be the damn president of the United States. It's just that I think that a lot of people that have been in office haven't resembled individuals that know enough. So damn it, it's a low measuring bar. So that's really what it comes down to for me in regards to that. But I'm a statesman at heart. And what I believe is, yeah, I'm a black man. I'm a proud black man. I obviously would look out for the desolate and the disenfranchised, and I get that, the impoverished in this country. But at the same time, I'm going to represent all America if I were to ever run for office. I'm not one of those guys that's going to go in there and look at things monolithically and just look at one community or whatever. I'm going to look at what I believe makes America better, and whatever makes the whole of America better and gets us back to a better state of affairs than we're certainly in today. That's something I would consider. I just can't imagine myself ever running for office. I'm certainly never not interested in being a congressman or a senator. It would only be for the presidency of the United States. And I can't imagine tens of millions of people ever wanting to vote for me. So I don't see that happening. And I'm not that interested in doing it anyway. I just would consider it if I knew I had a legitimate shot to win.
All right. So that's what Rome speaking on his thoughts on
great comedian himself, the one and only Chris Rock. Pre-sales for Ride or Die are behind that of Bad Boys for Life, of course, which hit a franchise high opening of 101 million worldwide back in early 2020. Domestic projections for Ride or Die were at 50 million, but that reportedly simmered to 40 million. Could the lack of pre-sales be because people have not forgiven Will Smith for that?
What?
Slap right there.
Come on.
How much you want to make a bet it does? And this is why I wanted to have this discussion with y'all. Because I want to emphasize that right now, as we see Will Smith and Martin Lawrence on the circuit promoting this new film, once upon a time, you couldn't find a bigger fan of Will Smith than me. Martin Lawrence, you can't find a bigger fan of Martin Lawrence than me. Ladies and gentlemen, in all likelihood, I'm going to go see Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Because I'm such a huge Martin Lawrence fan. And believe it or not, I still will never stop being a Will Smith fan. I'm not surprised at all that pre-sales have simmered. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it ultimately plummeted plummeted once all is said and done. And you know why I feel that way, ladies and gentlemen? Because I think that I'm speaking not for everybody, not for most, but at the very least, millions of people out there when I say what I'm about to say. I'm not nearly as interested as seeing Will Smith in the movies than I am of seeing him doing an actual sit-down interview with somebody to explain,
oh my God,
why he did what he did.
Shameless.
Now I want to emphasize this. Will Smith apologized just days after that infamous slap on March 27th, 2020.
Lord, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you first. Is Stephen A. Smith ego? He a super egomaniac right now? Is he a mutant egomaniac right now with his? Because from him saying that if he was going to run for office, not for the councilman or mayor, Congress, he says president.
Got to be straight for president.
He's got to be the big man. And then you see him come screaming on Will Smith for some stuff that happened 2 years ago that's been discussed and dug it back up with his y'all owe me or owe us, he owes us an explanation. Let me just clear this up before I let you go in. The movie made over 100 mil.
Easy.
So with that being said, Stephen A. Lord.
There's a fine line between being confident and being just arrogant. And Stephen A. has crossed that. He's a habitual over the line stepper. He has crossed that line. He has hopscotched over that line. But he's completely over. His ego is out of control. And I think the battery in his back has got him feeling like he represents all of us. He speaks for all of us. I remember one time listening to Breaking Adams. I love Large Professor. You know what I'm saying? I love Main Source.
Shout
And
out.
he mentioned the rapper Nas. I don't know who this nigga is. I don't know. Who the fuck is the rapper Nas? I don't know who the rapper Nas is. But later on in life, Nas is my favorite MC of all time.
Say word.
You don't see Extra P running the streets. I put Nas on. Without me, y'all, nobody would know about Nas. Nobody would know about Nas. This is Stephen A.'s attitude. He feels because he has a platform that he's putting everybody on. You don't represent all of us. You know what I'm saying? Your attitudes and your opinions don't represent all of us. But that's his ego. He feels I'm here. I got the platform. Everybody's watching me. If I say this, that, and the third, that represents all Black people. If I gave you an opportunity and you speak on things, you got to check with me first. Why you ain't checked with me before you said that? The young lady put him on ESPN when she said, you could have been talking about the WNBA 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? You didn't put us on. My mama and my daddy put me on. Why are you?
That's who made me.
Why are you, dude? He think he made us, period, because he has the platform. His ego is just out of control. It's ballooned. It's ridiculous.
Egomaniac.
Clearly, and obviously to the point where he basically asked Will Smith to come on the show and do an interview, so that it can obviously increase his, Stephen A. is like a carrot in the soup at this point. Charlamagne is a potato. Stephen A. is a carrot. These boys, you know what I'm saying? These boys always find a way to end up in the soup. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Stephen A., like I said, I really got him up out of my algorithm. He creeps in every now and then because of the finals. You know what I mean? Right. But when I saw that online, I was like, why? That was my whole question. Like, why does he? If we haven't had a vote, you know what we should do? We should have a Black vote. Like when it comes to certain issues, we should just put a poll out and have somebody go to every Black person's house and be like, yo, what you think we should do about this? All right. As opposed to having one fool come out and say, you know what? I think that we deserve this. Like you said, we're not a monolith, and there's so many subdivisions and so many divisions and subdivisions to Blackness, you know what I mean? And so many different trains of thoughts. to blackness, but we all can agree when to let things go, and we all can see when we're being played for the most part. And right now he's just trying to play on his blackness. He's not trying to play us, he's trying to play on his blackness. The fact that by him being black and having a platform, like you said, D, it gives him the opportunity to go ahead and so-called speak for us when it comes to certain things. That's why his stupid ass thinks that he can be president, because he thinks that he can speak for us. And you see how he went from marginalized and black and marginalized people to the next thing we talk about Will Smith. Now he's talking about we need to know as black people why you did that. Where are you at, dude? You know what I'm saying? You switching lanes too fast. You're gonna get banged up. Like I always talk about him. Stay in your lane. The first 2 lanes is good. Your little ESPN and a podcast, that's cool. That's relevant. You know what I mean? You might even drift over to General Hospital. I guess you do pretty good over there. You know what I'm saying? But stop right there, bro. Don't hop into no more politics. Don't hop into no more black consciousness or black people as a whole discussions, because you are not qualified to drive in those lanes.
Yeah, motherfuckers like Trump breed motherfuckers like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson thinking he can be president. Breed niggas, excuse me, dudes like Stephen A. Smith thinking that he could be president, thanks to old Ronnie Reagan, all the way where it really began. You know what I mean?
Which Ronnie Reagan did 8 years as California governor. At least he had the experience.
He definitely, no question. But before he became the government, he was the General Electric spokesman. Yeah. So it's levels to this, as we all know. But let's go back to something you said when you were talking about Screaming A. You was talking about blackness. Now, as we talk about blackness, as we continue on in the soup, man, we need to talk about Cornel West. Cornel West is going to play a part, man, come November. And we talk about constantly that our folks are quickly to watch the wrong shit. We need to concentrate on the wrong shit and be over here again, going back to Trump. They're going to start talking about, man, shit, Trump was at the black church in Detroit, man. Everybody was out there. No, everybody wasn't. But that's what the talk is going to be. Going back to Cornel West, man, friend of foe, friend of me, whatever, however you want to look at it, he's going to play a part in this race because people are propping him up. It's a special type of person. It's a special type of people that's propping him up. Let's take a look to see what Cornel got going on, y'all.
On the third-party presidential bid from left-wing activist Cornel West, my NBC News colleague Alex Seitz-Wald reports that West's campaign is essentially broke and is struggling to get on the ballot across the country. His campaign spent more on graphic design than ballot access efforts last month. And at the same time, Seitz-Wald reports operatives with Republican ties are trying to get West on the ballot in key states like North Carolina. Some Democrats are worried that it's part of a Republican effort to elevate West and pull votes away from President Biden. And joining me now is the aforementioned NBC News senior digital politics reporter, Alex Seitz-Wald. Alex, so empty the notebook for us. What is going on with Cornel West's ballot access campaign? And does his campaign actually know that these Republicans are trying to get him on the ballot?
Yeah, Gabe, this is something that there have been rumors about for a long time, and I've been chasing this story for about a month, but wasn't able to really nail down any hard evidence until I got an email earlier this week obtained through a FOIA request from a North Carolina elections official that showed the new party being formed by Cornel West allies to get him on the ballot in North Carolina authorized 3 people to pick up and drop off signatures on his behalf as part of the ballot access efforts. All 3 of those people work for a Republican consulting firm out of Colorado. Why are they in North Carolina helping Cornel West get on the ballot? They wouldn't tell me. They didn't respond to requests for comment. So that leaves the only plausible supposition, which is that they are trying to help Donald Trump and hurt Joe Biden by, quote unquote, taking votes away from Joe Biden. That's what another Republican operative said when he was spotted in April outside a Trump rally, also in North Carolina, registering people for Cornel West.
But does Cornel West campaign know this is happening?
No, or at least they say they don't. They did not respond to comment for days. And then finally, I got a response from them today saying that they had no idea these people were involved with a Republican firm. But they also did not disavow it. They said we have a wide range of supporters from across the ideological spectrum. The chairman of that new party in North Carolina that is trying to get him on the ballot said he knew these people only as volunteers. And he said that their names had been given to him by the National Cornel West campaign on a list of volunteers and marked with people who had experience with petition gathering. So, you know, do they know? It's hard to really say, but it really looks like somebody, and we don't know who, is trying to help Cornel West get on the ballot. And his campaign doesn't seem to be looking too hard into rooting those people out.
Alex Seitzwald, thank you.
There we have it. UH, Cornel West.
I've never been a big fan of the black elite, the 10%. You know what I mean? I may be a member of fraternity, college, all that kind of good stuff, but I've never been a big fan of that. I think that black elitists quite possibly are bloodsuckers of the poor, like we were taught at one point or another. And I think that because of the fact that he's educated, I think that a lot of times that he gets a pass. But if you look at him, he's not indicative of what a black man looks like, educated or not. He looks like a mad scientist. You know what I mean? he really does. He looks like he done lost it, like he'd been up in his attic all day just putting together a concoction or something like that. Man. I never have been a fan of him. And I think that you see what they're attacking. You see what Byron Donald was last week. He was at a cigars and cognac thing. Cornel West is out there now. You see what they're doing. They're attacking the black upper to middle class elitists. That's who they're attacking because they feel that those are the people who they can influence with their economic policies, regardless of what their social and civil policies are. They feel that those are the people who are weak, who are weakest, the people with the most, I guess, to gain, quote unquote, by a Republican victory. So that's what they're targeting. I think Cornel West is part of it. I'm not surprised that there's a Republican machine trying to push him through to take votes again away from Joe Biden. But like I say, they're all aiming for that actual class because you're gonna, excuse my language, there's gonna be dumb niggas who are gonna vote for Trump just because they think Trump and stimulus money and PPP and all that stupid shit. But so there's gonna be a percentage of those. But where they stand to gain the most is by people who can be tricked logically into thinking that Trump is a better choice for them as a black professional, as a Negro, as opposed to a black person.
So, Lord, Tribe made a awesome song about those people that you talk about sucking. Cornel West, man, what was Rocky's wife's name? Adrian told Rocky,
"You can't win."
Right. You can't win, Cornel. What's up with Cornel, man? It's understanding right now the stakes and everything. What is Cornel out here trying to do, Lord?
What's interesting is Don bringing up the black bourgeoisie, and I really never thought of it that way. That's why I love the show, man. It gives me a different perspective. My perspective on Cornel West, I always go back to when he was always against whatever Barack was doing. You ever notice that? He would always have something to say about the real big homie. So I always looked at him side-eye. So with this situation, knowing or pretending that you don't know that you're going to be taking away votes from Biden, it's just trickery. You know what I'm saying? So don't act as if your campaign doesn't know what they're doing. And don't act as if, you're not going along with it. And plus, like Don said, you look like a Marvel villain from the fucking beginning. So of course I'm gonna look at you side-eye. You look like a goddamn Marvel villain.
He do look like,
you know what I'm saying?
He do look like motherfucking Samuel and when he Mr. Glass and shit.
What do we call you, sir?
You look like Black Snake Moan out with a suit on. So of course you scare me to death. You speak intellectually, but then again, you look like a character that's gonna try to assassinate Black Panther or something. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Dick Dastardly looking ass.
Yeah, it's just you a weird dude, man. But the thing is, he's weird and he's intelligent, and that's the scary part about it. You gotta watch out for these cats because they'll mind fuck you into thinking that because he's bright and intelligent, that Trump is for you indirectly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful with these cats, man. This shit is crazy.
You definitely got to be careful of these cats and pay attention, and always, man, do your math. Man, when you talk about the elites, man, the elitists, the black elites and different things of that nature, they always like to use the term, oh, you on a Democratic plantation.
Slave shit, yeah, slave field.
You on a Democratic plantation. I want to play this for y'all real quick. That's going to take a look at that whole spin, the Democratic plantation.
But stay on that Democratic plantation. Never forget that your favorite Black history heroes were all Republicans. But stay on that Democratic plantation if you want to. Okay, let's talk about it. One day we'll fully unpack the anti-Black assumptions behind phrases like the Democratic plantation. But for now, let's talk about Black Republicans. You're right, some of the greatest Black history figures from the 19th and early 20th century were Republicans. People like Ida B. Wells, Frederick Douglass, George Washington Gales were all committed, if not proud, members of the Republican Party. In fact, Ida B. Wells campaigned to be a delegate at the 1928 RNC. But what you conveniently omit is that Black Republicans of the 1800s and early 1900s were some of the most progressive political figures of their time. American affirmative action, for example, a race-conscious solution to race-conscious problems, was created by a Black Republican, Arthur Allen Fletcher, a name you've probably never heard of. The legal and legislative framework for tax-funded public school education, a radically progressive idea in the 1860s and 1870s, was spearheaded by Black Republicans. The foundational civil rights of the 14th and 15th Amendments were, shocker, only made possible because of Black Republicans. But in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, the GOP took a deliberate hard turn away from Black folks. And today, every single one of the institutions I just named are being destroyed with the cooperation of Black Republicans. You see, Black Republicans worked on policies that were popular in the Black community. Imagine that. Because back then, Black Republicans were elected by Black people in Black districts. Imagine that. Today, however, Black Republicans are singularly elected in majority white districts, a fact they seem to be very proud of.
If I'm not mistaken, South Carolina is majority white, correct? Yes. My district is majority white district. So it's majority white district, correct? Florida, is your district a majority white district? How do we get here?
We've been wondering the same thing, Wesley Hunt.
I guess a lot of white people had to vote for us, right?
Precisely, Wesley Hunt.
A lot of white people had to vote for us.
You don't represent popular policy in the Black community. The bottom line, to quote Zora Neale Hurston, is that not all skin folk are kinfolk. And the vast majority of Black voters have never been confused about that fact.
And every brother ain't a brother. So what you think about that little breakdown right there, Lord?
Man, he explained everything. He explained the shifting of it. You know what I'm saying? He explained how people use history and create their own narrative. You know what I mean? Like, you try to make it seem as if, okay, sure, there were Black Republicans that were prominent and that made a huge difference, but the Republican Party of then is not the Republican Party of now. And it's just that simple. There was a huge shift. You know what I'm saying? And we're in a particular time period where most Republicans, they're not for us. You know what I'm saying? And if you are a Republican and if you have reasons to be, I can understand it if you have financial reasons to be a Republican, but there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't be. But again, they're not, if it doesn't fit your particular interests, you shouldn't go that way. You have to vote your interests. Look into your candidate, especially locally where it really sticks you hard. You got to get out there and vote. That's what we hear them in a certain age. We always say, do your research and go out and make your vote count.
UH, man, at one time, the Republican Party was a progressive party with progressive Black people who were trying to make changes, major changes in the laws so that Black people could continue to elevate. As the party progressed, shout out to Ida B. Wells and shout out to Frederick Douglass, man. They changed it and didn't want us in their party.
Right.
So when they talk about, oh, you stuck on the Democratic plantation, I know that you've already done the math on this before. But when you see my man break it down like that, Lord, what comes to your mind?
It comes to my mind is the last episode of Men of a Certain Age. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment below. When I talked about the Southern strategy, remember we talked about that? That's exactly what it is. That's what
Is
caused
that the Dixiecrats?
Yeah, exactly. That's what caused the shift in the ideology of the Republican Party. So all those things that Black Republicans did prior to 1968 basically came under a different agenda.
Right.
That's probably the best way to put it.
That's the reason why Malcolm and Jackie Robinson was at war. You know what I mean? Because Jackie was on the conservative side of things. And as we continue on, man, in this soup episode, man, again, as Don said, please share, comment, and subscribe down low. And also, man, hit that notification bell. So when my next episode does come out, you'll get notified and say, yo, that soup is hot. Come get it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But as we continue on this episode of the soup, man, the next thing is we have to talk about is we're going to have to continue with these Black Republicans. And as we continue on, man, we're going to look at the court, the Supreme Court. Again, as Chuck would say, every brother ain't a brother. And who I'm talking about, man, is your man, CT. And I ain't talking about Carl Thomas. I'm not talking about that CT. I'm talking about Clarence Thomas. You know what I mean? That cat, man. He back in the news again, man. Let's check out and see what CT got popping off, man.
And Jen, I do want to ask you about that breaking news about Justice Clarence Thomas, a report revealing he took more flights on a private jet funded by a mega donor and that they were not disclosed by the justice. What can you tell us?
The Senate Judiciary Committee has released some documents that show he took 3 additional trips with his longtime friend, the billionaire Harlan Crow, including a trip to Montana, another trip back to his family home in Savannah. But Justice Thomas has always maintained that those kind of trips with a friend who didn't have business before the court were personal hospitality, and as a result did not have to be disclosed under the rules in place.
Personal hospitality. I have never, ever, never heard that phrase until a couple hours ago. Personal hospitality. That sounds damn good, does it not?
That's a hell of a phrase.
The judicial changed those rules last year. Justice Thomas says going forward, he will report all of that travel on his disclosure reports. Nora?
Jan Crawford at the Supreme Court. Thank you.
I'm going to have to put that in my vernacular. I can't wait to use that. You know, I was getting some, what is it?
Personal hospitality.
Yeah.
PH, baby.
Yeah, PH. I was getting some PH. Man, UH, man, I'm coming to you first this time around. Justice Thomas, man, out here flying on the PJ, not the PJs, but the PJ. He flying on the PJ with a mega donor from the GOP. Now, let's be clear. Now, if he was flying on a jet with Mark Cuban or fill in the celebrity, that's one thing. But you are jetting cross country with this guy who happens to be a GOP mega donor?
About Clarence Thomas is they got the house, they put out the house for him. He flying all over the country with this dude, all up in the yacht, all up in Europe, all up in, like you said, the PJ.
Hospitality.
Personal, getting tremendous personal hospitality. They actually, that's what I was doing. I was getting my phone when we were watching the story because I wanted to see how long a generation was, right? And the generation per Google says anywhere from 20 to 30 years. I think that we should amend the Constitution to get rid of the lifelong position of Supreme Court justices.
Yeah.
I think it should be at the most 25 years because the judges that we have now are currently out of step with society, right? How are you going to have Roe versus Wade pass? How are you going to have the end of affirmative action pass? But then you turn around and say bump stops aren't illegal. What the hell is going on out here? That's not really they're not in tune with society. They are bought and paid for by large dollars.
Harlan Crow.
Yeah.
Bought and paid for by Harlan Crow, obviously.
And the like. And so there has to be some type of retention in or discipline on that. I was actually looking and researching this topic. I was looking at the fact that he received $4 million as a salary from being a Supreme Court judge since Bush put him in the game. But now his total gifts are equal that amount from Harlan Crow alone. Right. So we're just talking about him. His gifts and his salary equal the same amount. That's wild.
Not gifts. They're not called gifts.
Personal
hospitality items.
Right.
Incredible.
Yeah, man. I can't. Man. When I get some personal hospitality, I will be the first to let y'all know. Clarence Thomas getting on the PJ with Harlan Crow, Lord.
I think Clarence Thomas is striving to be an American oligarch or something, man. Like in his mind, he's just above everything. And because he's on the Supreme Court, and God said, with a lifetime appointment, he's just on some crazy shit. Right. I think we should reenact the racial draft. I suggest we take Luka Doncic, and the white majority can take Clarence Thomas. Can we bring the racial draft back, please? Where Dave Chappelle at, B? Let's bring the draft back, man. We got to start redrafting some of these folks, man. This is crazy. And like you said, on our Every Brother Ain't a Brother segment, it's this Clarence, man. He is wild. He gives zero fucks about anybody but himself. And then his wife is out here. She is just mega crazy.
And Jan 6, exactly.
Come on.
Yo, and peep this. What do Clarence Thomas and Cornel West have in common?
Shit, black bourgeoisie.
I believe.
And what else? You just mentioned it. They both have European wives.
Exactly.
I didn't know Cornell's wife was a European.
Man, shit. All evil villains have European wives.
Cruzella, DeVille, and shit.
Byron
Cruella.
First name LA. He got
West.
One too. Shit.
She come like Euro too.
I did not know that, yo.
How you like that one? How you like that from the black educated revolutionary line? How you like that?
Happy Father's Day.
Billy.
That shit crazy, Cornel West has. But yeah, man, now, again, man, the most important thing, and we're going to continue to harp on this until Election Day, man. You can't fuck around with your vote, man. You got one vote, man. You got to use it. Because listen, if you put Trump back in there, check this out.
Oh, yeah, that is right.
I started this by saying elections matter, but I think people need to get their Democrats and just Americans in general, independents, Republicans who care about being a democracy, need to wrap their minds around the fact that if Donald Trump becomes president, Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas will immediately retire. They're both in their 70s. They want to retire under a Republican. We now know they are naked partisans. They're not jurists by any stretch of the imagination. They will retire, and Donald Trump will replace them with 30-something and 40-something-year-old versions of themselves, meaning Donald Trump will have appointed at that point 5 out of 9 members of the United States Supreme Court. He will have created a court that will last for 50 years or more. That is the legacy he will then inherit as somebody who did not win the popular vote the first time, who got a stolen court seat that he was allowed to flip after Justice Ginsburg died. This is insanity that people are even considering doing it.
Again, man, we're gonna continue to hammer this point until we can't hammer it anymore. What you got on this, Lord?
Wow, that's if you don't vote, this is what happens. You get a majority right-wing Supreme Court. So if anything happens in a situation where you feel like you're not gonna get a fair shot, you're not gonna get a fair shot because the entire Supreme Court is leaning completely towards the right. And that's because you allow Donald Trump to get back in office and make these appointees. It's real. This is what's really happening. And what she just said, if you don't vote and you get Trump in office, it's going to happen. These guys are going to retire. They can't, it's a lifetime appointment, but they can't stay for life. Obviously, they got to get out of there. And once they get out, he's going to appoint who he wants to appoint to make sure his views are taken care of properly.
So UH, man, I know you lock in step with us on this. Don't fuck your vote off.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
Because as we all know, consequences and repercussions to all of this shit we do out here. And for those to say that my vote don't matter, or I'm not voting for this guy because of whatever, when you see that possibility, what goes through your mind?
What goes through my mind is that, like I say, I'm very staunch about certain things. It goes back to civics. If you understand civics and how that works. So We all know that Supreme Court is basically the last word, the third branch of the
That's
government.
it.
But what we also fail to realize is that there are a lot of judges that are appointed by the president underneath them, circuit court judges, district court judges who are appointed underneath them. Trump basically promoted a bunch of them. You've got a basically right-leaning conservative way up the totem pole to even get to an even more staunch conservative Supreme Court. So what that does is that allows less flexibility, that allows stricter interpretation of how they want to put the law in there and that from that particular point of view. So it's important that we do go out and vote for all things obviously local on the state and local level, but importantly for president as well, because they affect so many different other things. I'm not surprised that these Supreme Court judges are wilding out like this. I actually heard a soundbite of Ito's wife talking about how her hobby is designing flags and she's hanging this flag upside down. She's hanging the flag against the gay flag, a Jesus flag against the gay flag and all this. Listen, man, these people are out of control and drunk with power because they know like they cannot be removed. So there has to be term limits like everything else. There has to be age limits as far as our government is concerned. We need the overhaul because our government was designed for old white male landowners, and those aren't the demographics of people these days. It actually needs to be more democratic than it actually is.
More diverse. No question about that, man. And as we continue to cook up this marvelous soup, we're going to continue this topic with the Supreme Court, man, because the Supreme Court came down with a bullshit ruling this week, man, concerning the Tulsa massacre, man. Let's take a look at that real quick, and we'll come back and build on that.
The Oklahoma Supreme Court has dismissed a lawsuit against the last two survivors of the 1921 Tulsa race massacre.
The court upholding a ruling that showed destruction of the Greenwood district did not fall within the scope of the state's public nuisance statute. The city says in a statement it respects the court's decision, adding the city continues to work with residents and provide resources to support the communities. A lawsuit was filed in an attempt to force the city and others to pay compensation. Two survivors, 109 and 110 years old, say the actions of the Red Mob continue to impact the city today. As many as 300 Black Tulsans were killed, businesses were destroyed, and thousands of survivors were left homeless.
The Oklahoma State Supreme Court, but also it still could be pushed to ultimately to the Supreme Court to make the ultimate decision on it. And shout out to those women, grandparents, great-grandparents, the survivors, 110, 109 years old, man.
Man, what a blessing. Yes, definitely.
Salute, continued blessings for y'all. Just to hear that ruling from the Oklahoma State Supreme Court, man. Don, just when you hear that ruling, what's your thoughts on us ever cashing in on reparations?
Like I said, I don't think that I would like to see reparations. I would, but white people, I can't say white people. The government has never taken responsibility for anything that's happened to us as a group. You know what I mean? They haven't taken obviously responsibility for this. They haven't taken care of the other racial massacres that happened in the early 20th century, late 19th century. The most you might get is a civil suit, a violation of civil rights, some criminal persecution, but you very rarely get monetary compensation when it comes from the United States to Black people, which is strange because obviously, as we discussed, the Native Americans, the Japanese, the Jews, the European Jews all received compensation for the atrocities that were committed towards them. And ours obviously having longer lasting and affecting more people than any of those other groups. It's not strange to me, but it continues to show that the government doesn't want to give us reparations. They don't want to give us any money because you know why? What will happen is something very simple. White people may say that they believe in freedom and they want everybody to be free and so on and so forth. But let them find out that Black people got more money than them. That's a problem. That's a problem. Right. You know what I mean? It's a problem. I'm a basic dude now. I just drive an Acura now. But when I had my Porsche,
he a basic dude.
Yeah, I'm a basic guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm still keep it foreign, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But I'm gonna tell you, man, when I had my Porsche, these white people used to look at me like I was crazy. Like, how dare you get that? You must have, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell it just burned them up just to have the thought of me having more than them. So I think that, and I always keep that in mind because I work around, not really work around, but I have to deal with a lot of Europeans during the week. So I always keep that in mind, that when I'm dealing with them, that they might want to see me with them, but they don't want to see me doing better than them. Right. And I think that's the problem. That's the underlying problem when it comes to any type of financial compensation in Black people and reparations for anything.
I thought you was gonna say they didn't want us to have no money because every Black person would have their own clothing brand and their own. No, I digress, man. I digress. What you got for what the hell was what was the
Tulsa?
Yeah, about the Tulsa massacre, Lord.
Yeah, the thing is that when I was watching you guys last week, you were talking about Byron Donald and how he was talking about Jim Crow and how families were more together during Jim Crow. Like we had a choice. Right. You know what I'm saying? So when we are more together and we build our own community and we build our own infrastructure, then they come and burn it down.
Right.
Bomb it.
And bomb it.
And make an interstate through it.
So then when we come to a point where, okay, you bombed us, you put an interstate through it. You took them when we went to the banks for the money, they said, no, we don't have your money. Even though you had businesses here, we asked for some type of reparation or something for what you've done after we stuck together during Jim Crow. When Chris Rock even said his mother couldn't even go to the dentist to get her tooth pulled, she had to go to a veterinarian. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. During Jim Crow. So it all coincides with we built ourselves up and then you tear us down. But then you say you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But then you say, I'm bootless. Can I get some bread? No, you can't have nothing. You got to be like everybody else. But everybody else, you gave land and money to when they came here. You know what I'm saying? Don said, you don't want us to have more than you, but we have to work 3 times as hard to even get it. Right. So it's just all hypocritical. And like Don said, they don't want us to have nothing, man. And we keep continuing to fight to get it. Once we get it, we get to a point where we're even close, or if we try to get above, they're bringing us down. That's what this court ruling does. It's just a
yank back down. There's no question about that, man. But again, it all leads back to, again, man, using your vote, because those people got there because of somebody's votes. Somehow, some way, that's how those people got on that Oklahoma State Supreme Court.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's true.
Somehow, some way. Before we wrap it up, Don, and let you go ahead and get what you got to get off your head, man, I want to end my little segment on another Black Republican. And who I'm speaking of right now is Mr. Sean Carter himself. Ooh. So recently, that cat. So recently, he performed for Tom Brady's retirement party. Let's take a look at the performance. Look at the crowd, man. Look like Trump's dead at the
church. Yeah.
Exactly.
Introduce myself. My name is Ho. Face to the OB. I used to lose snowflakes by the OC. I can't prove it back then. You can call me CEO of the ROC.
Ho.
This is bad.
That's right.
I check cheddar like a food inspector. My homie Strick told me, dude, finish your breakfast. So that's what I'ma do. Take you back to the dude with the Lexus. Fast forward the jewels in the necklace. Let me tell you dudes what I do to protect this. Shoot at you actors like movie directors. Say the movie, dog. Touchdown, make some noise! Put one hand in the air for the GOAT, Mr. Tom Brady, tonight. It's the fan, but it's this shit. 10 years, 20 years from now, they're gonna be able to say that these brothers lied to you, Jack.
So yeah, man, Jay-Z performed for Tom Brady's retirement or enshrinement into the Patriots Hall of Fame. But last year was hip hop's 50th anniversary. And Mr. Jay-Z performed nowhere to be found during the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Wow, I had no idea.
No,
Floyd,
I don't around.
when you think of what hip hop has meant to Jay-Z, Hova, Sean Carter, Jigga, whatever else you want to call him, the big homie, couldn't bother to grace the stage and say, peace, hip hop, this is what hip hop did for me. But he can come out and perform for Tom Brady, shout to Tom Brady for his enshrinement in the Patriots Hall of Fame. What's your thoughts about that?
Sean he's black. He's a black bourgeois, black boule now. You know what I'm saying? What concerns us or what concerns hip hop, he's way beyond that now. To me, you know what I'm saying? He don't care nothing about that. You would never catch Jay-Z at a Roots performing at a Roots picnic or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? He just not. He feel like he's above any of that. And that's his roots. This is where you got it from. I just got this. My daughter sent me this for Father's Day. Hip hop is history, fam. You know what I'm saying? This is a book by Questlove. Jay-Z, you just completely put hip hop in your rearview mirror because associate yourself. I like Tom Brady too. Not that as a quarterback, not that he killed my Bills every year he played, but if you're going to ignore hip hop 50th anniversary, don't even grace the stage. Don't even say peace. Don't even come on the stage and say what's good, hello, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you gonna perform for Tom Brady? Come on, man. That's telling you. He's straight telling you. What Maya Angelou say? Believe it. Somebody show you who they are. Believe him. He don't want to be a part of this. Even when he was with Dame, he would do things as in put Dame in a position, be like, don't listen to him, listen to me, blase splee. He's trying to separate himself from us, and he's done a great job of it. And he just showed you that he's separating himself.
Commercial DJ. I know you love Hov, and you got every right to love that guy. But your thoughts on him not gracing the stage anywhere, not even doing an Instagram live.
I was a big fan of Jay. I saw him in concert, great concert. You know what I'm saying? Guy had me crying. The boy gave me a tear up in my joint. I gotta love it.
I'm gonna give you grief on that, but
yeah, that's why I see this little snide remark you made. It's all good. But no, I'm a whole fan, man. Not a whole fan, a Jay fan. So I was surprised to learn that he didn't do anything for the 50th year of hip hop, considering that he would have nothing without hip hop. I can't say he would have nothing, but he wouldn't be
where he is now
because without hip hop. So it's surprising to see that he didn't step out for that. But a long time ago, I realized that Jay-Z disassociates himself or distances himself from hip hop when he doesn't need it. You know what I mean?
Ooh, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? His thing is, okay, I'm so much more than a rapper, but if you need me to be a rapper, I can be a rapper too, boss. You know what I'm saying? That's the way he thinks. He's a capitalist, so he's going to use everything he possibly can to further his financial status. I think just being who he is, I know that was a calculated situation for him not to appear at any of those celebrations for the 50th anniversary. But like I said, that's Jay. I've always seen him as one of those dudes who felt that they weren't good enough to get in Jack and Jill, so he got mad and went and did all the stuff that he couldn't do. You know what I mean? He tried to make himself into a Jack and Jill parent so that his kids can get in. If you understand what I mean? Right. He felt that he didn't have the privilege, so that now that he's amassed a certain amount of money, he feels that he should have the privilege to pass on. Which is cool, and if that's the way he want to raise his kids. But he shouldn't forget what gave him the advantage, put him in a position to have the things that he has.
Right.
I'm not the biggest Jay-Z fan, and those that know. But at the end of the day, man, in my opinion, he's one of the greats. You know what I'm saying? And for him not to grace the stage somewhere on the 50th anniversary, it's only one time around, my G. And that's major right there. And you got majority of what you have is because of hip hop. And for you not to come out and say salute, to it, that just goes to show where you are right now. Also, he's a different breed. Now, him and Cornell also have something similar in common. Can y'all guess, besides being both men and both being black, something else that they have in common?
Some wild ass hair. Well,
that's what I'm saying. That hair, they got the same stylist.
They do have that in common as well. But Jay-Z, within the last maybe 10 years or so, maybe, has adopted this. Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
Motherfucker don't wear shit but black.
Ooh, that's it.
I never peeped that. I never thought about that.
That's Steve Jobs. What's the bride name that was robbing CVS and Walmart? Shit. Wearing black. That's Cornell West. Show me a picture of Cornell West in a gray suit.
Never.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I say. Within the last maybe 10 years, that's what he's been on for the most part.
Black, huh?
Just peeping. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But
I can't even imagine him in nothing but black.
He on that black tip now for whatever reason. He always in black. But yeah, man, that's some sucker shit in all of our opinion, Jay-Z,
No doubt.
that you didn't get on somewhere, anywhere for the 50th anniversary. You could have did a private show for your friends and streamed it. Mr. Capitalist, you know what I'm saying? But before we get out of here, man, on this Father's Day edition of The Soup, man, man, before we started in the pre-show meeting, we were kicking it, man, and you said you had some shit on your bird that you wanted to get off, man. Go ahead and get it off.
Yeah, man. I'm a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, Blue Phi, and I have been for a very long time. Never stopped me from being who I was. If y'all knew me, Pro knew me before I pledged, D, you knew me. I'm still the same person. I was the same person after. Those are just my brothers, you know what I mean? There are certain lessons that was learned when I pledged, and I felt that I had to. I'm more so pledged for my friends, right? Because I looked, and it's the reason I'm backtracking, but I've looked at all the organizations. I looked at Alphas. I've never even considered it. Qs, they wanted to put me on and just beat me up. I was like, nah. Y'all chapter suspended. Ain't no way in the world you just gonna beat me up for no reason, because I knew what pledging was about. Kappas, dude was mad arrogant. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? While the Sigmas inside kicking your ass and you outside talking to me. Anyway, so I pledged Phi Beta Sigma. And I pledged, man, and some very good brothers with me, some people I went to school with, some people who became my brothers because we were online. We had ceremonies, we had physical, mental, spiritual tests. We had lessons that we had to learn. We had history that we had to learn. Years later, I pledged in 1992. So I'm 32 years being a member of Sigma. All kinds of parties, all kinds of community service, still great friendships. I've never been one to be like, you're gonna see me in all the, you're not gonna know I'm a Sigma unless I tell you, unless you catch my arm a certain way. You're not gonna see me. Matter of fact, knowing my chapter is like that. We don't wear paraphernalia. We were always like, we rock together. Basically, we were like a kind of, I use the word, but we were more like a gang. You know what I'm saying? We were more like friends, like a group of tight ass friends than we were, in addition to being friends. So I say this all to say is that recently I've noticed on the internet, there's a lot of people denouncing their frats and saying that the frats and the sororities are evil and that they're demonic and they're based on anti-Christian ideas and so on and so forth. This, that, and the other. It's been big thing for the last 2 weeks. And I sat and I thought about it, and I sat, and this morning I actually turned on a TV show. I mean, turned on one of my little YouTube things, and this guy I was subscribed to, because I'm no longer subscribed to him. He put up a clip of a Kappa dude, of course, talking about how, oh, I got ahead, and they were talking very mean to me, and they disrespected me, and they said things to me, and and then they acted like everything was all right at the end, and I just couldn't understand. It was mental abuse. It's all this sucker shit. Because literally, y'all just see me when I play, I couldn't even speak to you. You know what I'm saying? I act like I didn't know you. It's like it's a reason for the way that we do things. And for somebody to come out and say that it was, and I'm sure they didn't go through what I went through in the 90s, because I didn't go through what dudes went through in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? Or what people went through in the 70s and the 60s. So it progressively literally got easier as time went on to be in a fraternity. So to see people who are weak-minded, who haven't held their vow of secrecy, who are openly on the internet exchanging secrets that people have bled for, have sweated for, have cried for, is really disheartening to me. You know what I mean? Because honestly, if it's something that wasn't in you, you had at any time to walk away. You know what I mean? And to be even more upfront, I've got frat brothers who pledged, who I've never heard from again. I pledged them. I did all kinds of stuff to them. They did, people did all kinds of stuff to me. I've never heard from them again. But you know what? They're still my brothers, but you don't see them writing any tell-all books about it. You see them as that being a part of their life, which helped them get to where they want to get to, whatever goal they want to achieve at the time, and moved on. I just wanted to speak upon that, man. That I find that extremely disrespectful and extremely disheartening to see that people are online disavowing their fraternities and their sororities, or consider all the work and energy and history that goes along with it. That's all I have to say.
Wow.
Shout out to all the sororities and the fraternities out there, man.
No doubt. Rest in peace to my man Dupre, man.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. That was my guy too.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna tell y'all something real dope. Dupre was from my neighborhood. Well, he wasn't from my neighborhood, but he used to always hoop at the rec. So I knew him from the rec, right? And obviously he went to TC.
Yes,
so
sir.
I was online with Moan. Me and Moan were online together, right? So Dupre, Moan used to kill Dupre at lunch, right?
Right.
And so when Dupre came, Moan was like, oh, I know he gonna work me out, so on and so forth. But you know what I'm saying? Me and Dupre never really had, and me and him was just always cool because of hooping. So it's certain things that happen in the pleasure process and the certain ceremonies that we were in. There's one ceremony in particular that we were in, and I remember Dupre did something for me, and it just made it easier to go past that point. And I remember him, man, just when I first moved to Atlanta, he used to always we had a group chat texting. He used to always send the texts in small letters. And then I remember he got killed by a drunk driver, man. And yeah, man, that hurt, man.
That was my guy at Turner, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah, he was rest in peace to pray, man. Real good dude, man. Yeah. Real good dude, man. And that shows you that you never know how people can help you, and you never know who was who. So it's always best to treat people kind and be fair to people, man.
Yes, sir.
Rest in peace to Dupre, man. P, you know what we want, man.
Yes, sir.
You know what we need.
Nice and simple. Now, I got this from a real close friend of mine, man. Been a friend of mine for years, man. So what he told me was this: the same boiling water that would turn an egg hard will make a potato soft. You know what I'm saying? Don't let your environment dictate you. You dictate your environment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's coming from my man Fro right here. You know what I'm saying?
Peace to the gods. Peace to the gods.
Peace. Yes, no
You
doubt.
know what I mean? Yeah, man, that is the latest and the greatest episode of Men of a Certain Age, The Soup for P, for my man.
Happy Father's Day, y'all.
And as always, it's the same old soup, man. We just reheating it.
Peace. Happy Father's Day.
Later, y'all.
One.
One.